The last week of September, all right? The last week of September. See this? It's wide open. It's waiting for you to call. All right, everybody always asks us, when is the best time to buy a house? And honestly, the answer is a little complicated. But when you boil it all down and you listen to Realtor.com's most recent update, they are saying that the last week of September is the best time to buy a house. Well, in a traditional market, when everybody's, getting excited, trying to move, as school's getting ready to, lit up, as it rolls through the spring, kind of get their plans dialed in. They want to, have that next house, kind of under wraps and have a plan on where they're moving before they go on their vacation. They definitely want to get into a house, through the summer before they got to get kids back into school. We have these traditional real estate cycles, right? So spring is normally just heating right up, and then summer is on fire. And as you get to the tail end, things slow down a little bit. As you hit September, everybody's kind of back in school. Those who don't even have kids, single, this and that, they're kind of back in the normal rat race. Summer's over, focused on work. You're past Labor Day, right? And people start to drop off out of the housing market. On top of it, some buyers just get burnt out. So let's take a look at some of the headlines and why we think that this fall might be an ideal time for buyers to enter the market. Now, I'm going to start off with saying, when you look at that traditional cycle, what happens all through the spring and the summer is you see prices rise as there's people battling over those homes. So it might be easier to get into a home in the fall. You still might be paying more because you had the run up in prices, even if there's a tailing off or a slight drop off, right? So this goes with a caveat. I think the best time to buy a home is as soon as you are approved for a mortgage, get into a home. It's not about time in the market. It's always about time in the market. So the sooner you can get in, the sooner you can have the benefits of housing work for you, right? It's the present versus future value of money. It's an inflation hedge. It's all those things, and it's equity building. So sooner is always better than later in this sense. Let's take a look at some of the headlines rolling in that really lead up to what we're looking at this fall. So right off the bat, we've got home builder sentiment drops sharply as mortgage rates surge over 7%. I will tell you, in Southern California, all the new home construction we've been dealing with, there are waiting lists. They're overselling. Every new release that people are looking for, there's a ton of overselling. There are some properties that are falling off the market. Normally, buyer had to move. They didn't lock their rate. They lost a job. They went and bought a car while they're in escrow, which is that big no-no we tell you all the time, right? So there's some one-offs here and there, but for the most part, builder demand is still strong. And one of the biggest reasons is because the builders have that profit in the house. They're really giving a lot of rate buy downs and things like that if they're using their preferred lender. So they're using some of their profit to make the payments more affordable for buyers. And so for buyers, it just is much easier to get into a new construction home. As such, we're seeing a ton of demand in the new home communities around us. But if you're interested in new home construction, I would definitely look into it. Get with an agent, have that agent show you the different areas and which ones might have some standing inventory, and get on the list with your agent. Go and tour them with your agent and start doing your due diligence as soon as possible, because by the time a deal comes up, if you're not already ready to pounce, it's just going to pass you by. So they're talking about builder sentiment dropping very slightly in the Southern California market. It dropped on a 1-point range out of 100. So it went from 51 to 50, not a big drop. And that's actually in all of the West. So I know there's other states in the West that are feeling a big drop. We are still very hot. So take that for what it's worth. Again, when you look at all of these headlines, you really need to break it out into region, because now more than ever, regions matter, cities matter, counties matter. everything matters, because I talked to a lot of friends, in Idaho, for example, their market was on fire before. Now they're seeing, complete slowdowns, drop off, stuff like that. We are still firing on all cylinders. I have not put an offer in on a home that has not had multiple offers all year long. We're still seeing it. We're, having people bid over asking price, over the appraised value. We're having buyers cover shortages in the gap in the appraised value and the purchase price by bringing the difference in cash. We're still seeing that even really, and especially at entry level markets. So everything I'm going to be showing you here is all US based numbers, but you really need to look at for what region you're in on top of it. Some of these headlines are dead on for certain regions and not all on point for others. So here we go. Rate lock activity declined sharply in July as rates extended 7%. This is also what we've been talking about. There's little tiny secrets. How do you make that mortgage payment more affordable? One, you really got to be looking at buy downs. I just negotiated $45,000 in credit for my buyer on a deal. They got a 2-1 buy down on an over $1 million home. So they're saving, it's really over 30 grand over the first 2 years, and that mortgage payment is alone. Their goal is they're expecting to refinance probably in that 2 to 3 year mark. If you're looking and expecting to have a chance to refinance in that 2 to 3 year mark, I highly advise you look at some of the credit unions out there offering 5-year fixed loans. They're adjustable thereafter. Some of them have amazing rates. Not all credit unions are alike. A lot of them just can't get deals done, in time for a fast escrow. And a lot of them just don't have the best rates. Some of them are even more than your normal typical mortgage broker. So we work with a couple credit unions here locally that can get a job done in 30 days and are offering 4.5% currently on a 5-year adjustable. So if you're interested in checking that out, we're not a lender. I'm not quoting loan rates here. I'm just letting you know what our buyers have been able to achieve in this market, and we can get you in touch with those same loan officers and channels. So rate lock activity has declined sharply in July as rates exceeded 7%. So purchase lending still is a majority of the market, but rate locks are down 27% year over year. Not surprising. Again, US based. I'd like to see this into a Southern California breakout, because I know the lenders I'm talking to, things are down from last year, but still pretty steady month to month. July was a big month for a lot of lenders out there here locally. So keep that in tabs. But we are seeing some of that fall off as rates go up. Obviously, the demand falls off. What's crazy is there's still so much pent up demand. That 7 to 7.25 rate is not enough to deplete the buyer pool that we've got here in Southern California. It is still a strong market. So mortgage rates rise again, but look poised to drop in the fall. And I think that's why a lot of buyers are out there. They're updating their pre-approvals. They're out there talking to lenders. The key is get pre-approved now. See what rates are for you in your financial situation now. Look at what options you have, whether it's FHA, conventional loan, a credit union loan, doing like a adjustable rate ARM, adjustable rate mortgage. Check them out. As we go through Optimal Blue every week, we'll go through the rates here again, or every day. But a lot of economists are expecting rates to fall into the fall. I know some of the stuff we talked about yesterday was a potential Fed drop as well at the beginning of last year, or beginning of next year. But this year's on longer term interest rates, which are going to have more of an effect on mortgages. Lawrence Yun, chief economist and senior vice president of research at NAR, is planning and are expecting rates to roll down into the year. This will be very interesting to see. Freddie Mac, a lot of these different economists are weighing in on it. If you're interested in that, I would definitely go and follow up on this article. You really need to be key on following rates. It really pertains to you being a homeowner. If you've bought your home in the last year, you really want to monitor rates, because there is going to be a chance in the near future, I believe, to refinance lower. So you want to keep up with your lender, keep up with rates, and pay attention to them, because if you have a chance to save money on your mortgage, you should absolutely take advantage of that. So again, along with this, there are some data points pointing to a cooling in the housing market this fall. Again, I think we are getting much more on a normal cycle. You know, the COVID years, everything went off cycle, everything was booming year round. Now that we're getting this traditional school, you know, school summer, you know, peaks up, and as we hit August, things start slowing down. We get into September, it slows down even more. And then you get into that fall, which are all great buying opportunities. I think that we are getting much more in that normal channel of ups and downs through the year. So I think that this absolutely could play out. And I think that September, October, November, December might be great times to buy a house. And when I say great times, what does that mean? What does that mean? Are you getting the best deal? Are you getting, really? I think what it means is you're going to have the least competition. You're going to have the best chance to get the house you want. And that's key for most of my buyers right now. It's not even about price. I mean, it's always about price, but they're willing to pay 10 grand more. You know, they're willing to pay 15 grand more, but they're still getting outbid. Somebody who's going 20, 25. Hey, they just want to have a chance to buy the house they like. So if they're only up against 3 offers instead of 15, they've got a better chance. And I think that's what's coming this fall. I think the number of offers on every property is going to slow down. I think that you might have an opportunity in certain neighborhoods to actually get closing costs again if you're a buyer. That way you can work on rate buy downs and, you know, keep money in your pocket for maybe doing some repairs and stuff like that. Key things you need to look at: any home that's fully fixed up and move-in ready always has more competition on it. Anything that's a little bit more of a fixer is going to have less competition. So if you are handy, if you're willing to take on a little bit of project, if you are willing to negotiate that deal property and your agent knows what they're doing, they can come in, get you closing costs on a property that needs some work, keep that money in your pocket, buy it, and then go do that kitchen remodel the way you want to do it with the better cabinets, right? For cheaper money, you can get better cabinets, you know, instead of some of these flips where it's just lipstick on the pig, you know, paint, and they threw on, you know, some crappy counters. No, go pick yours. You could probably do it for less than what you're paying on that fixed up home, and it'll give you an opportunity. So I think that is what's coming this fall. And I think that's why it might be one of the best opportunities to buy a house this year, is in that end of September, October, November timeframe. So that being said, this is one narrative that I don't see getting pushed through enough. It is harder than ever for low-income families to buy in high-opportunity neighborhoods. The neighborhoods that have the most chance of going up in price, they are getting priced out. This is even becoming true for, let's call it, you know, middle income, you know, middle America. It's running away from us. There are a lot of people that this might be their last chance to become homeowners because the moat is getting wider and wider. So if they don't get in now, and that's why I talk about it's time in the market. If they don't get in now and buy what they can, not what they want, but what they can and what they need, buy what you can, and then look at maybe doing an ADU later, adding on later, refinancing it later to get that lower payment. It's going to set you up and be able to have you start building equity. But a lot of people, because they can't get their dream home right off the bat, they're pulling the plug, and they're going to be in a harder situation to build equity over time. It's looking like they might not have a window for another 15 years if they miss out on this one. Because if rates do drop, like we were talking about, with the low inventory that we're seeing, we don't expect enough inventory to be on to handle everybody buying, and we're really expecting prices to just run right back up if rates drop again. So on top of that as well, this is a little bit follow-up of yesterday's article, and I'm sorry I'm running a little bit late here today, but I thought this was really important too. When people are talking about foreclosures, as we know, we just hit an all-time low from 1979 in foreclosures. This is just one more thing lending itself to that. A lot of what the government pushed down, so Fannie, Freddie, and a lot of, you know, the bureaucracies were pushing down during the flu season of the 2020 to 22 range. The new policies that they were putting in place to limit foreclosures, to allow moratoriums, forbearances, things like that. Those became the new playbook because they work so well in so many instances. That is what they're expecting should new or current borrowers face delinquencies. That's a playbook that the government wants to have happen, right? That's what they want to have in place. And because of that, I really feel it's going to lead to less foreclosures overall because there are better workout policies and they've proven themselves in trying times. So lenders homeowner hardship care during pandemic shapes permanent policy. And I absolutely expected this, and I'm not surprised to see it, but people need to keep that in mind when they're looking at, oh, we might, in a recession, things might slow down. Yes, but we have tailored policies that keep people in homes and have a better long-term outlook and outcome. And that's what we're seeing right here. So good solid article there. And you know what? If all else fails, Wall Street will gobble it up. Wall Street's talking, this headline is more on the commercial realm. Wall Street is ready to scoop up commercial real estate on the cheap. So they're looking at, high-rise office buildings, residential buildings, paywall. Who's got, 50 cents per week? Not me. I got a mortgage to pay, right? And I'm not even at 7%. So be smart with your money. Don't pay Wall Street Journal. But just know that Wall Street is ready to scoop up commercial real estate on the cheap. So where are we at? Yesterday's rates ended. Really talking to lenders, a lot of the conforming loans were about 7.25 yesterday. This is always trailing a day. It said averages 7.15 for 30-year conforming, and FHA is now over 7%. I haven't talked to them today actually on that one, but yesterday I talked to a lot of people that were pricing out 7.25 with a couple bucks back to the buyers. So this seems pretty on point. Again, or actually for the first time, this is Real Estate Daily with the House Heroes. Troy is off for a couple days. I'm going to cover it a couple days this week. But thank you for joining us. If you like what you're hearing, please hit subscribe and hit the like button. We'd really appreciate it. And more than that, just God bless and take care.